Okay. I think that worked both ways. All right. Are we live? Check. Okay. So I don't usually go live on Instagram, but I do usually, when I feel like it, tape something on YouTube. So I have access to it for later. For me too. I made chia pudding and I had to go back and watch my own damn video to remember my recipe. So it can be very helpful. Siéntate ya. So quick goat ramen. Let's get pieces started. So ramen broth is going to start. The ramen broth is going to be goat bone broth, not the first draw, the second draw. So the draws. So normally when I do bone broth, I do at least 2, usually 3 draws. Meaning I will put it with water. I will make a broth. I will take all of the broth out and just add more water and do a second draw off of the same bones, the same stuff. So if you have a lot of bones and a lot of good stuff, you can get a couple of draws. And then I usually combine them back together. Like the first and the second. The first one's going to be stronger. The second draw is not going to be as strong. And then I would mix them back together. This broth is so strong that I am actually going to mix the first and the third draws and leave the second all by itself, which is what's in the pan right now, warming up. So this is just an old cabbage. I'm just trimming off the parts of it that were exposed that I don't want. And I'm also going to I'm going to put this, actually, I think I will do it that way. 1 second. Un momentico, no? So I am going to fry the vegetables just slightly so that they have a little bit more sauteed vegetable flavor before I put them into the broth. So for this one, Cutco, this is the big one. This is going to be your preferred if you don't have like a wok or something like that, and it'll work really well. So I'm going to get that going in the back. And this helps because it makes me time myself on how long it takes to cook. Okay, so I got the edges taken off of the cabbage. The broth is heating up. The goat bone broth is heating up. Yep. The pan is heating up in the back. And I'm just going to chop this cabbage real quick. I think I want to do, no, vamos a ver. I'm going to do the onion and the carrot first, and then we'll do the cabbage later. So for the red onion, I'm just going to do a quick chop, and then this is going to go with the carrot and the onion in the pan first to do a quick saute. You could use any kind of fat that you want to saute it in. The Cutco pans are made that you don't have to use a lot of fat, but if you use some fat, sesame oil, butter, olive oil, something that's going to give it some flavor, and then salt just to season your vegetables. So in my slow cooker back here, this has the third draw is going right now. I added more water again and turned it back up to high. I have a little bit of this goat meat left that I saved. So it's going to be this amount of goat meat put in with the second draw of the bone broth. That's going to go over here. And then in the back, I'm going to saute some veggies so that they get some more flavor. I could just put them like directly into the bone broth. I'm gonna do the extra step though. I don't know. It's gonna give them extra flavor if I do this extra step, so I will. And then you can see the way that I cut this goat. I put a little bit of the broth in there, so it's kind of like gelatinous at the bottom. Yum. That's the good stuff. So we're gonna add that. Just like it's like shredded pot roast goat, shredded goat. Fat for the back. Okay, so the fat for the back, I'm going to do butter and sesame oil. You could use coconut oil. You could use anything. I like butter because it has salt and it has lots of flavor and it makes everything taste delicious. So a little bit of butter, maybe 1 tablespoon. I guess that's more than a little. And then sesame oil. And like I said, the Cutco pans, you don't have to use a lot of oil. They're actually made to be like a low moisture situation. But it's going to add a lot of flavor. That's going to add more flavor back into the actual bone broth. Okay. I'm going to add the goat to that. So we'll get the onions and the carrots working. Yeah, so don't always go live, but when I do, I usually go live on YouTube for sure. So you can like, share, subscribe, whatever to the YouTube, because that's usually my first place that I'm tempted to go. Just gonna take the cabbage core out. Do not forget, save the cores to give to the puppies. Yeah, cabbage cores. They'll eat the rest of them too, depending on the dog. But they're really, really good for them. Okay, so we're gonna just slice this up, do a thin slice on the cabbage, and we'll add this into maybe in its own pan. We might do this separately from the onions and the carrots. I don't have ginger. You could add ginger. I do have some garlic. I am going to add some garlic cloves, but I want to add those a little bit later. But onion, carrots, cabbage. Again, with ramen, you can do whatever vegetables you have, whatever vegetables you like, right? That's the nice thing. Then I've got some fresh arugula, and we're going to do that too. Okay. So onions and carrots are working in the butter and sesame oil. Ya yo tengo sal. So a little bit of salt, just a touch. And then this goat meat is going to go into the broth. I was going to do a goat and tonkatsu. I was thinking about doing tonkatsu, the pork tender, like pork loin, fried pork loin. The baby was saying, which she was right, that the tonkatsu is probably going to get like mushy soft if it went into the ramen broth and if we fried it and then put it in. But I think they do that on some ramens where they will do like a fried chicken cutlet or a tonkatsu, a pork cutlet. But I decided, you know what? Let's just do the goat meat. I think the goat meat's that'll be just plenty. I will show you, I'm going to take a little bit off of this third broth so you can just see. So the way that I do this is I have my little sieve, my little strainer, and then when I move it, I just pour it over and put it through, and then that takes care of filtering it as well. And then when I'm doing the draws, whatever stuff gets stuck, I just dump back in and let it go again because it's going to take all the flavor. I've got onion, carrot, celery, and then the goat broth, or the goat bones, excuse me, to make the broth. Okay, so getting the last little bit of this flavoring out of this jar. The broth is going nicely. Yeah, that pulled pork will go, or the pulled goat will go along just great. And then our onions and carrots. Yeah, they're working nicely. So that's on like a medium-high heat. I am going to do the cabbage separately. And then I also have the arugula. Rúcula. Si está bien fresca. This one's it's been very bitter. So I've already like triple washed this. I'm going to dice these up, like slice them super thin, add those in at the very end. And then I also have, if you have your green onions, right? If you have your green onions that are in the jar of water, I've got my green onions that I'm going to add again at the very end. You could use any kind of noodles, any ramen noodles that you want. I am using these, just the regular old ones, but we're not going to use the seasoning packet. That's going to be the trick. We're going to do our own seasoning. The bone broth is amazing. That's going to have so much flavor. We're building the flavor with the onions, the carrots, and then now we're going to do the cabbage next. It's going to be delicious. Okay, so these got a little bit of color. They got a little bit of saute. Now I can put them into the broth and then do the cabbage next. Again, I don't need to cook these all the way through because they are going to keep cooking in that broth. But I did want to have a little bit of flavor already developed with the fat and the salt. And then it's just, now we're just adding like layers, right? Okay, so that pan goes back. Now I'm ready for my cabbage. Again, you could switch up your fats here. I think I'm just gonna do the same thing, honestly. It's just some butter and sesame oil. And then all of this green cabbage. Again, you could use anything you want. You don't have to use this. Purple cabbage would be great. I love purple cabbage. Purple cabbage will make your whole ramen turn purple. It's so fun. It's pretty. Very, very pretty. Okay, and then our cabbage goes in. So, yeah, so we're literally just using the plain like top ramen noodles. Gonna not use the chicken flavoring packets, but you could use fancy, really yummy ramen too. You know, some fancy vegan ramen noodle, something. I've gotten those too, and I'm a fan, but you don't have to. Okay, so now I just have the arugula that we're going to do. I'm gonna chop that up super fine. The broth is now moving along. That's great. Yeah, and so I don't know that shredded goat would be traditional, but this is obviously like a fusion dish with the ramen and the goat. I love fried cabbage. Oh, so good. A little bit of salt. Me parece que sí. Okay, so we're gonna get this rúcula. So I just kind of like gather it and make it into a little pile. Si se puede verlo? Can you see that? And I just kind of like smash it all together. And then I do the tiniest little slices. Again, you got to keep those fingers back. Fingers tucked in. As slow as you need to go. But this is going to be tiny, tiny slices, tiny, tiny chops. I did a triple wash on this for this rucola. It's fresh and local, and so it had some, bugs that I had to clean out on a couple of pieces. But I was very selective in the pieces, and then, triple wash, of course. Okay, so I'm going to put this back into its container. And you can also eat the flowers, but we're not going to eat the flowers. We did not pick through the flowers. Left the flowers alone, but you can. And they're gorgeous. They're so pretty. Oh my gosh, if you've never seen little rucola, las flores de rucola, they're so cute. Okay, so cabbage is still going. Our broth should really be going now. I'm going to give the cabbage just a couple more minutes. And then I might even hit that either with some vinegar or some broth to deglaze it just a touch. Oh, snap, garlic. Okay, let's do this garlic. So the garlic, maybe I'll throw in right with the cabbage. I don't want to do the garlic very long. And I am going to, again, save those garlic peels and ends and onion peels and all of that for the broth bag. Don't forget your broth bag. So you have your freezer, big gallon bag, whenever you have any garlic, any carrots. If your dogs don't eat the carrot peels first, carrot peels and ends. You can add as much as you want of celery, onion, carrots, mushrooms. Some other vegetables, you do have to be careful about how much you add for the ratio. Beets are going to turn into color. Asparagus, you don't want that many. You can look up how to do your own, how to use scraps for bone broth, like what vegetable scraps to use for bone broth, or for making broth, vegetable broth. And yeah, I just keep a freezer bag. So then when I have those bones, had those goat bones, and I had a freezer bag full of onion peels, garlic ends, yeah, some mushroom ends, all of that ready to go. And I dumped all of that with the bones, and it's just yum. Okay, so the garlic I'm going to mince. Like I said, if you had ginger, you could add it. I don't. If you don't like ginger, you don't have to. You could make this work with other things. And we're still need to add some flavoring to the broth, but we're gonna wait to add our soy sauce and our meat in and all that kind of stuff towards the end. Once the flavors have fully developed, and then we go back and we make it a little bit more ramen, Asian ramen, whatever. Okay. I'm going to hit this with ACV. Hit the cabbage with the ACV to deglaze. I love a little bit of vinegar flavor. So getting some of that in there, I'm for it. I am for it. And then this cabbage will be done. I think I'm actually done with this back burner then. Just using it to give us more flavor. Oh, heck yeah. Okay, so the ramen broth is moving. We're going to add the cabbage that I just put some ACV on too, just to deglaze. Not a lot of ACV, but just a drop. Yum, now my mouth is watering. You can also add eggs to this. Just a can of vegetables, anything you want. Again, however you want your ramen. But I think this is going to be plenty. Now, wow. It's also like very full of vegetables and stuff. Like I haven't even put the noodles in. So yeah, I think we're probably ready to just see how close the carrots are. And if the carrots and onions are close, we're going to put the garlic in. Garlic is going straight into the broth. Carrots are close. Onions are close. Sí, me parece que sí. So garlic goes into the broth. And then the arugula and the green onions will go in at the very, very end. Yum. Okay. I think I put 4 cloves of garlic in there, if you got all of that. And I'm just out of the sight on the Instagram. And I don't even care. It's okay. It'll be okay. If you can't see me, you can't see me. I'm really sorry. If you want to say hi, you can say hi. If you don't want to say hi, you don't have to. Then you can see the whole stove. 4 cloves of garlic. The arugula is ready. And I am going to take some green onions. So yeah, I have my nice green onions growing in the water. And you can do them in soil. You can do them so many different ways. But yeah, just regrowing some green onions, and now I can use them. I have been using them. I have used them a couple of times, but I'll use them again. So I'm just going to chop off the very, very kind of, they look like little burnt ends, right? Like the very end of the green onion. And then everything else is good to go. I'm going to give those a nice little chop. And that's it. Okay. Noodles go in, huh? The carrots are almost cooked. The cabbage is there. Like I said, we're going to do these without the seasoning packet because we are building. Ooh, that's what I want to do. Let me put a little bit more Asian stuff in there. Okay. So soy sauce, you could also use aminos, coconut aminos, something kind of aminos. But I do some soy sauce. I also like to add a little bit of fish sauce if you have it, just for depth of flavor. And then I said mirin, but I don't have mirin right now. Right now, all I have is the seasoned rice vinegar, so I'm going to add a little bit of that. And I'm also going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. So, and then we're going to taste it. And I haven't added salt, but we're going to taste it first and even see if we need salt. Vamos a ver. De veras no estoy segura. I'm not really sure. There's obviously salt and flavor in the broth, right, from the goat bone broth. So I'm just going to taste it and see how close we are before I put the noodles in. Sí está bien. Yeah, that's there. I know what I want to add. That's there. That's so good. Oh my God, that's so good. That's really, really good, actually. Like, legitimately, it's got like all the levels with, you can taste the goat. I'm going to do some red pepper flakes. Because I want it a little bit spicy. And then I am going to go in with some onion powder, garlic powder, just to reinforce the onion and garlic flavors. And yeah, like you could do ginger, you could do whatever. I'm not. Onion powder, garlic powder, the crushed red pepper. I am going to do a little bit of the pink Himalayan salt. And then I'm going to taste it again. Actually, I lied. One more drop of soy sauce because I hardly added any soy sauce. And one more drop of the fish sauce. Gosh. It tastes really, really good, though. Like, legitimately delicious. And then we'll put our noodles in. And then it's done. Or I lied. You put the noodles in, then the rucola or the arugula, and the green onions at the very end. And then you're done. Then that's actually it. Okay. Vamos a ver. Let's try this again. Yeah, these red pepper flakes. You guys, this broth. You can't even see. It's just like amazing. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're good. I guess if your broth was lacking, you could still add the chicken seasonings, like the ramen broth seasonings, but we don't need to. It's a lot of added salt that you don't need unless you really, really want to do that today. But I'm moving the vegetables around to get these noodles worked to the bottom, put the vegetables on top. And this is going to be it might be a very thick ramen with all of the vegetables and all of the noodles and everything, but it's going to be so good. So, noodles cooking. Rucola is done. Going to slice these green onion tops that we have, and then we really, really, really are done. Legitimately, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, and I'm not doing eggs. You could put eggs in. You could put anything in. Cans of vegetables, some more protein. Like I said, we thought about doing, I was almost going to do like some tonkatsu pork patties with it. But the goat meat is plenty. It's just right. It doesn't need any other meat to take away from the fact that it's like pulled goat plus the goat bone broth plus all of it. It's fire. So good. Okay. Those noodles are starting to move around. I'm going to move them around just a touch more. And then throw this rucola in. Yeah, the noodles are already starting to get soft. So we'll break those up a bit. Yum. Oh my gosh. The smell. So because I use some of the vinegar, some of the ACV, I like a slight little bit of, just a slight bit of vinegar to the broth, that the broth has another level of flavor with a tiny little bit of sour. Anyway, that's me. Okay, arugula is going in. That doesn't need hardly any time. You could also put spinach. You could do any greens, dandelion greens. I should have picked some dandelion greens, but I wasn't thinking. Anyway, that goes in. Yep, those are good. And how am I at on time? What did I do on time? See? 25 minutes. And that was chopping vegetables. So the only things I did before was really nothing. Mise en place. This time I did nothing. Yeah. It was all on the camera besides doing my mise en place. Besides getting my stuff together, everything else was in real time. So 30 minutes to homemade fancy goat bone broth, pulled goat meat ramen. Yeah, that. Okay. Noodles are getting there. Gonna stir that rucola in. Yum. Yep. That'd be it. At this point, I'm gonna turn it off and it's gonna be ready to devour. Can you see? Do you see this? I know you see this. Do you see this? See this amazing ramen? Yum. Okay. It's done. Turning off, throwing on green onions. Buen provecho, buen provecho. Like, share, subscribe, say what's up if you haven't. I would love to say hi to people that were here. Yeah, for sure. So say what's up. Love your self-revolution and see you later. Bye, guys. Oops, forgot.